Hi folks, this is John from Sharp Mountain Games, and today we are playing Star Wars, right after the intro. Hi folks, and welcome to Sharp Mountain Games. Here we talk about group games, solo games, and we even have some actual plays in our live tab. You can also check out our print and PDF products at Amazon, Roll20, drivethrur, and Lulu, and they're all linked below. Now let's get to the good stuff. Hi folks, and welcome to another solo role-playing session, and this time it's going to be a Star Wars game. So let's talk a little bit about the system I'm using. I use a D20 roll under. So let me show you the characters here, and I'll try and leave it up on the camera. You're not going to be able to see it real well on the camera, I know. But there's 8 different attributes that they have. I needed a little more than 6 because the attributes kind of function as really broad skill groups. And then sometimes like our untrained Jedi here has a couple of things they can do extra. If you're a human and you don't have that, you get 2 advantage rolls per day, to make up for that. But it also takes care of things like our Wookiee. There's certain things that Wookiees are going to be expected to do. Our medic is a Mon Calamari, or Calamari, I don't know how you say that. So they're going to have an advantage on swimming and on trap detection, of course. So I'm going to put this, you won't be able to see it. It's just kind of up here and out of the way, but where I can see it, because I need it. And so it's my own D20 roll under system, and my friend Karsten from Solo Spelunking, and I'm going to link down below, he really loves to write up systems. So I guess he liked a little bit of what he heard on one of my videos, and he actually put this together with some of his other stuff. Now, he has a lot of different systems, like adapting Nave for Star Wars or Shadow Dark for Star Wars. So I'll put a link to that below rather. And the reason what I like out of here is I'm going to try his Starship Combat system tonight or this afternoon as I record this. So you'll get to see it in action. And his system is very close to mine anyway, in most of the other regards. And what I also used in prepping this game, people talk a lot about solo games that you want oracles. Well, an oracle to me is nothing more than a random table. So I used a lot of the random tables, or at least a few, from this Galactic Campaign Guide. Now, this book is 22 years old now, 22 years old now. So you might be able to pick up a copy used. I don't know how expensive it is. I'm lucky that I bought it, back in the day. But it really anticipated solo role-playing stuff in that it has like 100 adventure seeds and, 100 planet names. And here's some suggestions for the types of planets. And then I also used a little bit of AI. I know people get upset about AI, but I'm not going to publish this. But I asked AI, I said, okay, write me, 20 science fiction planets. Write me 20 space stations. So, within a few minutes, I had these charts here. And I'm not going to publish anything out of them. It's the same thing as if I just did a Google scrape to Google search to figure things out as well, or to get some ideas. So that's really all that's there for. All right, so let's talk about our characters. Let's get into the story and see where things are, because that's much more interesting. Okay, so and the colors don't really mean anything. They're just in the order that they are on my sheet. So I have Jonan Connix, who is a human pilot. He's kind of a Han Solo type, but a little bit younger. And he used to run some charter flights and got himself in a little bit of trouble with local authorities. And that kind of drove him to join the rebellion here. We have Inara, who is a human untrained Jedi. In fact, she left her family and her planet because she was very worried that she had heard the Empire was coming around with inquisitors who were trying to detect Force-sensitive people. So she certainly didn't want to put her family in danger, and she eventually made her way here to the rebellion. Atachawa is our Wookiee mechanic, and he can fix just about anything, but he tends to be kind of grumpy when he's doing it. And Thalu is our Mon Calamari medic, and he's had some adventures before in my other solo games, ones that I didn't film. And he had a relative who was a Jedi many years ago before the Purge. So he really has that connection to the Force there and that interest. So let's get right into things, and we'll see how the afternoon goes here. And maybe we'll go about a half an hour or so I don't keep you forever. But we'll see how things are going. So our 4 rebellion officers, this takes place during, kind of the era of A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, somewhere in that range. I really think that's, for me, my favorite era of Star Wars. So they are called to a briefing by an Alliance officer, Neela Dane. And I have a card here with Neela Dane just to show you. I don't have a lot of cards, but maybe I should do that more often. And she is the commanding officer, and she calls them in, and she said that the rebellion has recently acquired certain seeds and plants. Now, these are very rare seeds and seedlings, and these plants have great medicinal value. They can really help people when they get infections and recover very quickly from injuries. And we really do need a large supply for Alliance medical treatments. You know, we don't have access to labs and pharmaceutical labs the way the Empire does, because they're trying to keep all that for themselves and certainly to squeeze the rebellion. So what we'd like you to do is there's a rebel sympathizer, Alec Evnal. And Alec is a Celestin, and he's an agricultural trader. But because he's a trader, he gets a lot of information, and he often passes information back to us. And you're going to meet him at an agricultural trading festival on the planet Floran 4. And while you're there, you're going to have to locate him. You know, we don't know exactly where he's going to be. You'll have to ask around. And you're going to get him these seedlings and seeds, because what he's going to do is disperse it to other planets that are sympathetic to the rebellion. And then hopefully on those farming worlds, they'll be growing these plants for us, and we can soon get a supply of these medicinal things. And you're going to be able to have 2 droids to come along with you, in case you need them for help on the ship. And that is R2-DO and CSP-1, who is a protocol and kind of an all-purpose droid. And, although this doesn't seem like maybe a really exciting mission for you, it really is important, because we definitely need these medical supplies to keep the Alliance going. So she makes sure that they, have everything that they need for the trip. They're given a little bit of cash, because they may need some on their when they get to the planet. Let me set her aside here. And they're going to leave at once. And Jonan says, a seed run. Yeah, really exciting stuff. And Inara says, yes, but as she said, it's very important. And Chalu chimes in. He says, yes, and, as a doctor, we definitely need those things. The rebellion runs on food and medicine and duct tape, I hear. So they're all going to get into their starship, which is the New Hope. And I'm just going to put the little figures aside here because we don't need them right this second. And here's the New Hope, you can see. It's actually a shuttle that I found on Thingiverse and 3D printed it and painted up. And we don't need the figures there for now. But they make their jump to lightspeed. They leave the fleet and they travel for a while. Along the way, Thalu tells Inara a lot about his ancestor, who was a Jedi, at least the stories that he knows. And they drop out of the system. And as they're coming in from the outer planets, and you can see my starry background here, as they're coming in from the outer planets, and there's some asteroids and stuff coming out from the asteroids, approaching them. I don't know how well you can see that. I just have these little cardboard chits here. Are 2 vessels. And they hear over their speakers, prepare to be boarded. We just want your cargo. Don't put up a fight and you won't be hurt. Well, of course, that's not going to work because this is very important cargo for the Alliance. So Konik says, he hollers back. He says, Inara, Thalu, get to the guns. And then hopefully Adachawa can act as a co-pilot for him. All right, so let's see what's going to happen here. Now, according to Karsten's notes here, solo spelunking initiatives as the PCs go first. So let's see. I think he's going to go with evasive maneuvers, that he's going to try to make it harder for the pirates to hit them. And let's see what that is. So that would be a piloting, and the New Hope has a +2. This is what's different on Solo Spelunking's system. He wanted to have it so that the ships themselves can, contribute and help the player a little bit. So let's see. Our pilot has a piloting of 14, and the ship has a handling of +2. That means he needs a 16 or less. And let's see what happens. 17, no. So Jonan is a little bit rusty with the New Hope here, or he's a little bit flustered with this attack. Because he did a lot of more, like I said, civilian and charter runs and not so much combat runs. So what that means is that the attacks against it will be at advantage. So let's have our gunners go now. So that is Inara and Thalu. Let's see how they do. And 15 and 11. Let's see if that's good. Okay, so the 11 hits. So she hits, Inara hits one of the pirate ships. And it seems like that's a D10, so I got to roll for damage here. And that's 5 points on the pirate ship. And what I like about these paper things is, yeah, they're not very pretty or fancy, but I can write down the damage right there, so I can see where they're at with things. Okay, let's see if anybody else can go this round. No, they're not doing a retreat, so, because they kind of have to get through these folks. So let's have our other ship go first. So let's see. The handling on them is a 0, so that's not going to help. Maybe I should have made a handling roll for our pirate ships, but too late now. Okay, so their to hit is a 12, so I've got to roll 2 dice to see if they hit. Yes, they both hit. And they do D6s, so a couple D6s here. So they hit the New Hope for, looks like 5 damage. And I'll just make that little note of that over here on mine. Yeah, and Jonan calls, well, we've got to do better because we can't jump to hyperspace in the system here. We've got to make it to the planet. So they are flanking him on either side. And let's have our pirates make their handling roll here. 16 and 11. I'm going to say that the 11 works. So that's going to have 1 shot at disadvantage for the next guy. All right, so let's see how our handling goes here. So let's see. I believe that's a 16 for Jonan. Oh, just got a 16, just under. So that's going to give them advantage on the 1 shot. And the other one's at disadvantage. So advantage and disadvantage should cancel. So let's do a shot at the one over here. 11 and a 14, so the 11 will hit. So Thalu hits. And let's see what kind of damage he does. That was the D10. Yeah. This ship is, now he wasn't shooting to blow it to smithereens, but this ship is, smoking as much as it can in space and is drifting off. Now the other one, the hit on that will just be regular. 9, so that gets hit. Let's see how much it gets hit for. 5 points of damage here. So I'll put the 5 right on that. This is pretty lo-fi gaming, you may notice. That's the aesthetic I go for. Really, really, totally lo-fi here. So let's see. Now we have to roll to see if they're going to hit the ship. So the other one is out of the picture here. This may be a quick combat, but that's okay. So 15 and 5, nope, does not hit. Tries an evasive maneuver, 20, no way. Jonan, our pilot, succeeds at the evasive maneuver. So any attacks by this guy are going to be at disadvantage. And we're going to have Inara and Thalu try and man the guns here. The 9 will hit, so Inara hits. Yeah, and this one is also now dead in space. And they make their way towards the planet. So let me get rid of these guys. I'll just put them off to the side here. And I can always recycle them, just put them in the paper recycling. And they approach the planet. And as they approach the planet, they are kind of surprised to hear, they get a transmission over the intercom, over the ship's communication. This is the Imperial Trade Commission. Please state your business. And Jonan tries to, give his best con here. Let's see how he's going to do. That would be a charisma roll, which is 12. He's young. He's kind of been around a little bit. Yeah, 7. And he, he tells them he doesn't try anything fancy, but just that they're here for the agricultural trade fair. And, they're here. They have some things to sell, and they're hoping to buy some special plant food while they're here. So they're allowed to put down. So let's put down on the planet. We'll put a planet down here, and hopefully this is going to fit. It's always a question of getting everything to fit and not hitting the camera and all that. All right, so there you can see my dice. That's pretty good. And that'll be our planet here. And we'll just set the ship off to the side here when it docks. So our characters come out here. Like I said, they're kind of in the same order that I have them on the sheet here. And they are met, surprisingly. They didn't really realize there was an Imperial presence here. By 2 stormtroopers and the Imperial Customs Agent, Phaeriss. And he says, well, you'll have to state your cargo, and we may have to go in and inspect the ship, too. Make sure that, there's not any, we've heard rumors there might be rebel sympathizers coming around here. And again, Connix is going to try to bribe him. He's going to kind of, try and slip him a little and say, oh, I don't think that would be really necessary. There's nothing interesting on my ship. This is agricultural stuff. You must be bored out of your mind on a duty assignment like this. And he rolls a 9. So he slips the Imperial agent a little bit, and Imperial agent looks at it and kind of looks at him again, raises his eyebrows, and Jonan slips him, a little bit more. Not a lot more, but, maybe half of what he did before. And the customs agent says, just no trouble while you're here, please. No trouble. We watch these things. And you can see the customs agent. I just cut him off from a clothespin and painted him black, and he does the job. So they now know that there is an Imperial presence here. Surprisingly, they really weren't expecting that. And I'll put them off to the side here because we don't need them right now. So they make their way into town, and there's a lot of stalls and more permanent buildings. If you've ever been to, like a farm auction place, there's some permanent stuff and some outdoor stuff. And they've got to kind of try to find their connection. Alec Evnil. So they're going to ask around. They're going to ask some of the farmers. We'll put some stands out here. Maybe there's an alleyway here. And these are just little dominoes that I spray painted gray and put a little clear coat on them just to preserve them. And like I said, I'm pretty lo-fi on all this. It's not quite theater of the mind, but close enough. Lots of stalls, lots of buildings, alleyways here. And they start to ask around. And Thalos says to Jonan, he says, well, you're doing so well, maybe you should try. So let's see what happens. So they walk up to one of the stalls, and it's a human woman who's selling things there. And he buys a few things, and he kind of says, we have another trader we're asking about, who was supposed to meet us here, a friend of ours, Alec Evnil. And he rolls a 3. That's pretty good. If he didn't, Inara might have had to step in with her force suggestion. And, because he bought some things, she gives him some information. She says, oh, yeah, he's often here. And she says, here's where he tends to shop and where sometimes he brings wares too, and, where his stall would be. Now, Thalo, who's a little bit older than the others, he says, it might be better if everybody didn't approach Alec at once. That might be a little bit intimidating. he said, I think maybe just one of us should go and talk with him. Now, there's a lot more humans. There are other non-human species here, but a lot more humans than not. So he says to Inara, he says, you might be the one to go and talk. I think you'd be maybe the least imposing. And he said, and that way we can, the rest of us can kind of just watch things and keep an eye on things in case things go south. So she does find where his stall is eventually. And Alec is there, and Alec will be the other yellow here. And she buys a few things, and she talks, and she said, would you be? Because she's not 100% sure, that this could be somebody posing as him. She's not stupid. She says, you have some seeds maybe that you'd be interested in purchasing. Seeds that maybe are going to go to some outer rim farms, some farm worlds there. That might be something you'd be interested in. And maybe there's a code word that the rebellion has to indicate this. I'm not sure. So he says, yes, of course, he said, but we shouldn't be seen doing that right here. It could arouse suspicion. So he says, and he gives her a time. He says, it's about 2 hours. He said, we're going to meet in the alley behind here. So, we can make that. And he said, and that way I can get out quickly. He said, it'll take me about 2 hours. He said, the reason I want to have that time is, he said, because I don't want it to look too suspicious. It'll be a little later in the day, and it'll seem like I'm closing up my shop. And if you don't remember the Celestins, one was Ninum, they have really big kind of jowly faces and big eyes because they live mostly underground, so they need them for their vision. Kind of funny big ears, but definitely an asset to the rebellion. So they mill around and they get some of the local food, from the food stalls and things like that. And they agree to meet in the alley, behind here, again in a few hours. In fact, Atachawa, he grumbles because he has to carry a lot of the stuff. Why couldn't the droids do this, he says in Wookiee. And they go back. And they have their meeting, and they exchange the seeds. And Jonan's kind of bored at all this. He's like, oh, come on, seed trading, what's going on here? But Thalus tells him, he says, oh, we know this will be, very important for the rebellion. We thank you for doing this. However, as they're doing this, two people, they notice very directly are coming in and running from the other side of the alley. Now, at this point of the day, most of the crowd has gone home, so it's kind of quiet here. This is a good time for this sort of thing. And walking in this way is kind of an orange lizard person. They don't know who he is, but he's definitely wearing a flight suit. And clanking in at this area is a robot, a droid. And he is very tall, very slender, and well-armed. And he's represented by this little piece. I found this while hiking, walking in the woods. I think it fell off an ATV or something, but I cleaned it up and brought it home, and it's going to definitely work. So Inara tells Alex, she says, get out of here right now. You need to get out of here right now. We're going to take care of this. So he takes off for a run, and these guys draw blasters. They mean business. They're trying to pin our group down here. So let's do a roll for initiative. So the way I'm going to work it is that the initiative is, usually it's just a D6. And 5, that's not good. 1, 2, 3, it's for the player characters. 4, 5, 6, it's for the opponents. And I'm going to need a little piece of scrap paper here to keep track of hit points, so I can see where people are at with things. All right, so the lizard fella kind of, he says in his hissy voice there, rebels, you'll draw a good bounty. And he is firing. Now, they are firing to stun at them. So let's see how that goes. So he is going to get to roll. And According to Solo System, that's a D10. I usually do 2D6, but he's doing the D10 for the blaster, so we'll give that a try. A 6, yeah, that's going to hit. And, okay, well, he's trying to stun. So stun works a little differently in that it doesn't do any damage. Now, let's see who he hits. I'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'll go by the rainbow. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see what happened there. I can't see it in my little dice tower here. A 4. So he hits Thalu. So that means Thalu has to make a fitness roll or he is stunned. And Thalu's fitness is a 10. So he needs a 10 or less. 9. So he is not stunned, but he, you know, like you can't do that forever. So I'm going to put a little thing under him to remind myself that if he gets hit again, he is going to be stunned. And then our assassin droid, our combat droid here, is going to try to hit. And I'll just roll all the dice at once here. He needs a 13 or less. 19. Okay, don't have to worry about that. I should have to worry about good English, though. And he does not hit anybody. All right, so now it's the player's turn. And they are going to try to fire their weapons and get out of there. And they're just not going to have time to set things to stun. They weren't planning on any of this. So let's see. We'll just roll them all at once and see how they do. Okay, Jonan does not hit. Anara does hit. And so does Thalu. So Anara and Thalu, they're doing pretty well here today. And Jonan says, I take it back. I wanted a nice boring run. So let's see. So we've got to roll for some damages here. 1 and 1. Not too good. So I'll take that off their hit points there. I didn't use the paper for this one. This might not go too well for them. So let's see what happens here. Let's have our lizard-like bounty hunter make his call here. Make his shot. And, oh, that's definitely he hit. Who did he hit? That's a 4. Okay, so Thalu is down. He doesn't even make a roll. You can't get hit with 2 stuns and have it work out too well. So he is down. Let me take the paper out of there. We don't need that. Because they are just trying to stun them because they really want to take them into custody. Okay, so let's see, have our robotic bounty hunter, our droid bounty hunter go. 18, good. He misses. And Jonan hollers to Atachawa, grab him under your arms, but we've got to get out of here. So they are going to try and do some damage, and they are going to try to make their way back out this way. And let's see. Oh, all 3 hit. Well, wait, I got to check the red there. Does that hit? No, that doesn't hit. So we've got 2 hits. I'll just do 1 and 1. 9 and 8. All right, that's good. That's something. All right, now our bounty hunters are trying for that stun again. 14, that's a miss. Because they're 13. 20, that's a miss. Okay, so Atachawa has grabbed him there. And he is going to try something different. He is going to try to intimidate our bounty hunter here. And he gets advantage on that roll with his charisma. So that's 11. So he needs an 11 or less on one of these dice. No. So he growls, but that bounty hunter just laughs him off. And I think that's all he's going to get to do that round because that's kind of his action. But he is dragging Thalu, the doctor, trying to get him out of there. And they are going to concentrate both of their fires on the lizard man here to hopefully do some damage to him so they can push through. 17 and 7. That was a 17. It moved with the other one. I'm not going to count. I have to be fair with that. So that's a 17. 2 points of damage. So he's down to about half of his hit points there. And he's hissing, we've got to get them this round. So let's see. They're going to try that stun again. Nope, misses. And a 12 is a hit. It's a 4, so I have to roll that again. 2 would be our Jedi, our untrained Jedi. Her fitness is 10, so she needs a 10 or better. Or, excuse me, 10 or under. No, she is stunned. Jonan is starting to get really worried here. And so is Atachawa. So he says, we're just going to have to barrel through here. And he said, maybe, we'll fire along the way. So they're going to fire wildly as they're running. So I'm going to say that they can run, and maybe, he's going to kind of drag. But in terms of their firing, they're definitely going to be at disadvantage because, they're trying to carry somebody and run at the same time. It's not going to be too good. So let's see how Jonan does. His combat is an 11. 9 and 9. Oh, he does hit. It just must be a wild shot there. Does 3 more points of damage to our lizard bounty hunter there, who you may recognize if you've certainly seen the movies. And then Atachawa's going to, again, he's going to be at disadvantage too. 9 and 1. They both hit. Or he hits. Even with the disadvantage, he made it. And does 5 points of damage. He's still going for the lizard guy. So our lizard guy's in really bad shape. He's not down yet, but he is in really bad shape. And the robot kind of clanks in here and he hows, no, get me. Just let them go. They're not worth it. He's not going to risk his life for for a bounty. He said, we'll get them next time. So he drags our bounty hunter, out of the way. And they run for the New Dawn. Or the New Hope, excuse me. It was New Dawn in another game. So they make a run for it, and they do attract the attention of the Imperials. Maybe there's 2 stormtroopers on duty kind of in the area. Hey, halt, what's going on here? And we got to see what happens. Let's see who gets the initiative. Oh, our players get the initiative. And Jonan hollers, they ate some bad food. Let's see if that's good enough to work there. 14 it wouldn't be, but he's lucky. He gets 2 advantage rolls per day, so I'm going to give him a reroll on that. 9. And the stormtroopers are just really confused about all this. They don't know what's going on. So they're going to just be not sure what's going on. And they get in the New Hope. And our protocol droid, he's had a little bit of medical training, not very much, but a little bit of medical programming. So he's going to look after the 2 of them. And they beat a hasty retreat from the planet. Now, they're not bothered by the TIE fighters. There's no reason for them to be accosted in that way. And Inara wakes up, and then eventually so does Thalu. And once he's awake, he's able to give some, better medical treatment to everybody. And Inara finds something, and she shows this to all of them. She says, this is something I didn't get a chance to tell you, but right before Alec ran, he pressed this into my hand. And she has a data chip in her hand. Of course, Joan says, well, let's see what it is. Maybe it's a credit voucher or something. And Atachawa just growls at that. He thinks that's silly. What it is its coordinates. It's coordinates to a very remote planet, as best they can tell, They'll have to eventually, call it up on the computer and see if that they can find this place. But written underneath that, along with the coordinates, it says Jedi Cache. And Thalu says, I wonder if this is something left over from the old Republic. It's a cache. Maybe there's things there. And Nara says, do you think there could even be a lightsaber possibly? And he says, well, I don't know. We'll have to consider checking that out. And I think that's a good spot to end for today. We've been going about 35 minutes on this part of the stream. And I really hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments. Please, if you have anything in the comments that you'd like to know more about. I really enjoyed testing out Solo Spelunky's Starship Combat rules. And we'll leave it there for this time. Again, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, I always appreciate seeing them. Take care, folks. Thanks again.